Greetings and welcome to Replicate This PSD edition, exercise number 2. This is what it looks like. This is what the finished product looks like. And it's called Konzert Brahms und Otto Composer Schmidt, or something similar. Let's grab our source files in the Finder, brahmssketch.jpg and German operahouse.jpg, and open them in Photoshop. Let's get started. We're going to use this file, the German operahouse.jpg, as our working canvas here. But first, we need to make some adjustments. Command plus to enlarge. We need to make some adjustments to this old sketch of Brahms directing. Now what we're going to do first is we're going to apply some adjustment layers because we need to make some adjustments to the levels. Now I want to show you about the advantage of adjustment layers, and that is, watch what happens when I click this little icon down here. It looks like a black and white cookie, if you've ever been in New York. Under adjustment layers, we can select black and white. And black and white brings up this panel. Now I happen to know that this orangey looking sketch, if I scrub back and forth the reds and yellows, it's going to make the biggest difference in the values of this. This is just to get a better black and white image. We don't want to lose all the gray tones, but we don't need the gray tones as much as we need the dark tones here. If we go back and look at what we're trying to create, we need mostly the outline. Command tab to go back to Photoshop. Let's see what yellow does for us. Yeah, yellow will lighten up the paper texture, which is good. Alright, so that's a pretty good, here I'm going to command minus to go out like this. That's pretty good. I probably will want to, what was that word? Probably. I'll probably want to mess with levels, rather. If you prefer curves rather than levels, be my guest and use curves. I'm going to use the levels adjustment layer. Go down to the adjustment layer icon, select levels, and as you can see from this little histogram here, most of the values that need to be, most of the values are on the light end of things. So I'm going to go down here, down to the dark. I want to darken up my pencil lines, and I'm going to take that just about to the beginning of where the little ramp starts. And then I'm going to go up here to this side, and I'm going to dial back the light pointer so that we lose a lot of the dirtiness in this sketch. Now, it doesn't matter if there's some, because we want it to still look like a sketch. But okay, great. Let's close that. Let's go back up to our layers panel. And on the original image, let's double click this. I don't like having background layers. I like having actual layers. So I'm going to double click it. It's going to ask me if I want to make a new layer, layer 0, and I'm going to say yes. So on this layer, I'm going to make a layer mask. Remember, that's the little icon that looks like the Japanese flag. And on this layer, since I want to be totally non-destructive here, meaning I don't want to permanently alter any pixels, I'm going to use my layer mask to try to paint out some of these box lines down here. If you remember from Replicate This exercise 1, how to erase using layer masks, you know that I will want to paint with with black. Black conceals, white reveals. So instead of grabbing my eraser, I'm just going to grab my paintbrush and I'm going to paint with black. Right now my foreground is white, so I'm going to hit Shift X. Actually, I just need X, don't I? X to paint with black. My brush is tiny, so I'm going to hit right bracket to enlarge my brush here. Oh, and make sure my opacity is 100%. Make sure I have a soft brush. All right, ready to erase some of this junk down here. Let's see, make sure my I am painting in lighten mode instead of normal mode, so it's not really working. Make sure my layer mask thumbnail is selected. There we go. It looks like we're erasing pixels, but we're actually not. We are non-destructively editing out some of this crud down here at the bottom. A lot of this stuff we don't need. So I'm just going to paint it out. If you see any other specks and things that you want to get rid of on this, feel free to paint them out. Okay, I think that's probably pretty good. Now I'm seeing all sorts of stuff through here. We should do most of this with levels. But okay, let's say that that is good enough. For this exercise, we are going to need to extract all the black pixels, the black and dark gray pixels out of this image. And how do we do that? We do that in the Channels panel, which is by most layouts by default right next to the Layers tab. So layers, channels, and paths are usually grouped together. Now these are all the channels in an RGB image, red, green, and blue. We're going to click, let's see, I don't think we can, yeah, they're not separating right now, but that's okay. Now the way that you select pixels in a channel, in the Channels tab, is hold down Command, and we're going to click the RGB channel and see how the marching ants select. You might think actually that they're selecting all the dark pixels, but what they're doing is selecting all the white. We need to inverse this selection so that it only selects the dark. So let's go to Select Inverse, and now you can see it may not be super obvious, but it's selecting all the dark areas. So with that selected, we can copy merged. Oh, you know what? This will make it less confusing. Okay, so we are going to go to Edit, Copy, and we're just going to copy these dark pixels. We're going to come over here to our German Opera House, and we are going to paste. It looks like it worked. It kind of looks brown, doesn't it? I'm going to hit Command T to bring up my free transform. I'm holding down Option and Shift while I drag so that it scales down towards the center. I probably don't actually want to do that. I want to just grab it by here. I think that's pretty close to the example, right? I'm going to hit Enter to seal that transformation. Now I don't want this dark brown color. We want what color? We need white. It looks like our Brahms is a little bit smaller than the example, but not too bad. Move him over a little bit. Okay, we need to tint him white. And what's the best way to do that? Well, a layer effect is going to be the best method for that. So let's go under this little FX icon at the bottom of our Layers panel, and let's select Color Overlay. It usually defaults to red, but for some reason it's lime green today. Let's change that to white. Click OK, and now we have a white overlay on our Brahms, and so he's much more visible. Fantastic. Okay, we are ready to start typing now. That's the hard part. The rest of it is just writing Johannes Brahms and this super long word. A lot of German words are actually this long, so it's not that I'm making it up. I am making it up, but I'm not making up the length. Gesamtkunstwerk Opera und Orchestra Haus is probably a real word. Back to Photoshop. Let's scale this up a little bit here. Let's hide Brahms sketch, and let's enlarge German Opera House a little bit. There we go. Okay, now this is one example of an exercise that does not use all myriad. Clearly, this is not a sans serif typeface we're looking at. I happen to know that it's the font Arno, which is no longer ships with Creative Cloud, so we're actually going to use Caslon. We're going to use Adobe Caslon. Let's go back here. Let's go select T. Let's write Johannes Brahms. Hit Enter. Change our text to white. Change our typeface from Myriad to Caslon. I always forget whether it's under C or A. There we go. Adobe Caslon Regular. There we go. Let's try, what do you think, 24 point? Maybe 28 point? There we go. And let's go back to the example live at the Gesamtkunstwerk sehr cool und Opera und Orchestra Haus. Try to remember all that. We'll just say that's the word. And this needs to be smaller and italic and yellow. Maybe not that small. Is it 21? Typeface is a little bit different. Ooh, we're still dealing with -25 tracking here. There we go. That looks a lot better. And Brahms as well. Brahms should be 0. There we go. There we go. Let's just choose a yellow for live at the Gesamtkunst blah blah blah. Add type tool so I can get the access to the color easily. Let's choose yellow. Let's get a warmer. Yellow. There we go. That will work. Toggle back. Okay. Kommen Sie und listen. Schnell, schnell is the next thing we need to write. I'm going to option drag just to duplicate this. I know that it's white, so I'm going to tint it white. Let's see, I think that one was all caps, right? If it wasn't, it should be. And is this one? Yeah, that one's white. Okay, it looks like it's a little bit smaller than this, but you know what? I'm going to leave it the same size just for more type size consistency. And I'm going to copy this layer. I'm holding down Command. When you hold down Command, it selects the layer right underneath your mouse when you click. So let's option drag this yellow piece of text down. Holding down option makes it copy. And what does it say? It says November 12th through the 29th. We're going to change the date. November 12th, option hyphen 29th. The option hyphen makes an N dash, which is actually the proper punctuation here. 2015. Okay, hit return. Now I've written November with a lowercase n because I happen to know that I'm going to make lowercase letters. I'm going to make small caps by going to the character panel, clicking on the flyout menu, and saying small caps. I'm also going to add some tracking. 50 points of tracking, and I don't like these kind of tall numbers. I like the bouncy baseline numbers, which are called optical or old style. So I'm going to go to the flyout menu, I'm going to scroll down to open type, and I'm going to scroll down to old style, and watch what happens to my numerals. They become the old style bouncy numbers. What do you think? A little bit more tracking? 75 points maybe? That looks good. That looks great. Okay, I think we're about done. Let's scale this down and compare. Yep, I think we're done here. Hope you enjoyed it. Auf Wiedersehen.